3 teams in Europe are already qualified for the first LAN of the year. We got to see 2 of them go head-to-head. Method Black changed my mind. Now we're going to see that 3rd team, Wildcard Gaming, and they're going up against a team that hasn't made the cut yet, but still has a real chance. It's not going to be easy. They need to go for a deep run. They need to get it started here, and this really isn't the team that you want to be going against. The one affordance that they do have is the fact that they have that extra lifeline. They are going up against them on the upper side of the bracket. It's going to be Wildcard Gaming versus Plot Twist. To break down all of the action after it happens, we got Zico with all the glowy brain analysis. Then we got Super Tees and Ben Rookie to scream during the matchup. My name's Rich. I'm going to say hello and I'm going to say goodbye. As we look at Wildcard Gaming and Plot Twist, we see some of their win rates. Wildcard Gaming, this has just been a team with all of the momentum in their favor, Zico.
Yeah, Wildcard Gaming, they really have figured everything out. Really the best team when it comes to picking up that Windwalker mage that we're going to be seeing here. And it's actually going to be a mirror, kind of. I want to say that the Druid is favored here due to the fact that he is not going to have a very hard time avoiding crowd control compared to Numliz, who is going to be sitting in a lot of those polymorphs. And Wildcard Gaming, they're going to be opening up immediately here with this composition that actually netted them a lot of wins last week.
Yeah, and it looks like both of these teams are trying to counter the enemy team's cleave setups. We've seen the Windwalker Mage be very durable against the melee cleave setup, so I think that's what both teams are kind of going for. And for Plot Twist, winning this series is just so important for them. They still have not secured their spot to the spring finals. For Wildcard Gaming, they're just trying to keep up the momentum, keep securing as many points as possible, and they're going to be looking to deny Plot Twist's advancement.
Interesting matchup between Plot Twist and Wildcard Gaming, an unexpected one. So far, cooldowns definitely in favor of Wildcard Gaming, unless they can force an ice block from Morrow in this push. Not able to find enough damage to do so. Now, with no Gladiator's Medallion on Numliz, he's exposed to crowd control. Finally, Burst, though, onto Morrow. If they can get an ice block, they can tie the game back up. Counterspell onto Looney. Well timed by Yes Dave. This could be an opportunity as they tried to push Morrow over. Not enough damage to do so. Morrow now chucking down the Frozen Orb, looking to counter-attack as Numliz is locked down in crowd control. Likely Yes Dave to be the target. Temporal Shield right before some big hits come in, and he should be able to recover. This well-timed Temporal soaks up all that damage while Numliz is still crowd controlled, unless they can keep it going a bit longer. Another Cyclone. They need to find just a bit more. They get the 3rd. They need a stun. I don't think they have a stun available. Numliz out of crowd control, able to avoid interrupts as well and stabilize the team. No ice block force from either side. Looney falling behind on mana, potentially needing to look for a drink here shortly. That could be a win condition for Plot Twist if they can deny the drinks.
Yeah, definitely. I have to favor Looney in this matchup over Numliz. I feel like the Mistweaver Monk is just so susceptible to the crowd control of the Frost Mage and the Restoration Druid that eventually Numliz is going to get caught in an extended crowd control chain, and that's just going to be lights out for Yes Dave. Yes Dave looking to deny the kill with the Temporal Shield. Should be bouncing him up to full and actually not doing much. Temporal Shield not enough. Ice block forced out onto Yes Dave off the back of that Cyclone onto Numliz, and this is what I'm talking about. The Mistweaver Monk is just so susceptible to crowd control. Luckily, Numliz sneaks in the Life Cocoon to keep Yes Dave alive.
We talk about teams' improvements over the years, and one thing we would credit Looney for in history was his defensive play. He's been one of the most unbreakable healers in terms of defensive management, but now in this match in particular, he's able to spotlight his crowd control and aggressive plays as well, with the team building a lot of momentum and netting a kill almost early on against Plot Twist. Looney now being pressured as Rezus and Numliz are trying to gun him down, pressure him away. Potentially an opportunity for Plot Twist to find a kill. Looney respects the damage, trades out the Gladiator's Medallion, but a bit of an overlap in there. Looking to go potentially all in. Looney escapes out of line of sight. Rezus caught in crowd control, but still gunning after him, trying to maybe deny some Cyclones. They know that Looney's running Balance Affinity, so he does not have access to the Frenzied Regeneration that Guardian Affinity would provide. He is a liability as because of that. Rezus looking for a solo kill around the corner on Looney in game 1. Ironbark denies it for now. Looney able to stabilize, still close calls. Plot Twist trying to stay in it, but with no ice blocks remaining, it's going to be so difficult.
Yeah, Life Cocoon traded out from Numliz, the last line of defense to keep Yes Dave alive. No ice block for another 4 minutes. There's a huge window of opportunity here from Wildcard Gaming. Bash, full polymorph secured on Numliz. Yes Dave has to stay alive, and with Rezus chasing down Looney, there's not much backup coming from him. Yes Dave all alone in this situation where he needs to keep himself alive, looking for an Ebon Bolt, trying to get some counter pressure here on the Looney, force him to back off and allow Numliz a little bit of breathing room.
The next crowd control to Numliz is going to close the game out for Wildcard Gaming. He's caught in a Cyclone. They need a polymorph. Yes, Dave is being pressured as Blizzo's trying to end the fight. No polymorph just yet from Morrow. No attempt either. Looney kites Numliz out into midfield. That sets up Morrow very well to get a polymorph. They get the polymorph. Yes, Dave has nothing left and is likely to fall if they can keep the chain going. They deny the polymorph, but Looney gets the clone. And with that Cyclone secured, Yes, Dave falls. Wildcard Gaming continue to assert domination in the European region.
Spicy hootenanny going to kick off this series. Blind pick game number 1, but the plays coming through with Looney and Wildcard Gaming. They're going to be able to shrug off some of that aggression, stop some of those goals, and going to be able to find victory for themselves. So far, they've been a team that's pretty much outclassing everyone. I forget what the record is, but it's something like 29-1 in their recent matchups. Zico, this team's absurd.
Yeah, Wildcard Gaming is really powering up here for the LAN season, and they're just looking like the team to beat right now. Honestly, just looking like a cut above everybody. And in this particular matchup, of course, the big story of the game should be the Mistweaver versus the Resto Druid. And the reason why Plot Twist are going after the Resto Druid at this point is because yes, Dave has used 2 ice blocks. Morrow still has 2 ice blocks. They're not going to win that mage race. They might force out an ice block from Morrow, but surely Wildcard Gaming should be able to secure the win if they go for that. So I like the strategy adaptation here from Plot Twist, that they realized we're not going to win the mage race. Let's go after the Resto Druid. They had one really close call there behind the pillar where Rezus nearly soloed Looney down, but it just wasn't enough. And honestly, I think Wildcard Gaming, if they played into Plot Twist's Windwalker lock here, they would have lost with this Windwalker mage. But again, they're so good at this blind pick. They know that something else is going to be coming their way. They anticipate maybe a Windwalker DK from Plot Twist. We've seen that in the past, and they just correctly read the blind pick, and they managed to snag a win.
Yeah, Wildcard Gaming, why have they been looking so gosh darn good in recent weeks? I think that's kind of the big question here. Plot Twist, we know that this is the team that has played Spoiler. Their name is so fitting. They have been a team that's been able to play Spoiler throughout the entirety of the year. They still have a very real shot at going to LAN and getting the work done for themselves besides just upsetting some of these other teams. But when we look at Wildcard Gaming in recent weeks, why have they looked so good? What is it about this team, Van?
Well, I think bringing Morrow on for their team was big. Having that mage gives them a lot more flexibility with some of these compositions, like potentially the Windwalker mage, as well as that Warrior mage setup if they ever need to run that a little bit later on. So having Morrow available definitely gives them a slight edge in some of these mage versus mage setups. In addition to that, they've just been running some of the best compositions in the game, but not just running them, they're running it better than anyone else. So that Mistweaver, Windwalker, Death Knight composition that we've seen them have so much success with, not only do they play it very well, they play it just better than anyone else. So they just seem to be really, really prepared for these tournaments, and they've stepped up their game. They've always been a really impressive team. The only thing that really stood in their way was Method Black, as well as those pesky pirates, the Outlaw Rogue, that really gave them a lot of trouble in Legion. But luckily for them, in Battle for Azeroth, that specialization isn't nearly as strong, and they've just been seeming to run away with all of these cups.
Yeah, it was just that was kind of the season last season when we looked at last year. Outlaws, they ran these Cs, they were able to secure that booty, secure that bread. But when we look right now at Wildcard Gaming, Morrow was just that perfect pickup. I think there were some questions maybe around it, Super Tees, when we first saw probably the craziest roster changes that we've ever seen globally. Every single team in NA, we found everybody fall into those perfect little niches, the perfect spots for them, and I think that's why we've seen such an incredible depth of rosters over in North America. We had some questions with some of the EU teams. I think we still do, because half the time we still see EU teams even sacrificing points to make roster changes, but Wildcard Gaming was one team that we maybe asked some questions about. Why did they want to grab Morrow? I think we're starting to see the answers.
I think they just wanted to get a better flex player than Walrix. Walrix is obviously a dominant Warlock, and if Affliction is ever in the meta, you certainly would want him, or even Demonology from his track record. So he would be the best pickup to have on the team, but it's just not that case right now. So substituting in Morrow, who can bring mage compositions now to the team of Wildcard Gaming, which is where they were limited to. In the past, they were really just a Warlock, Shaman, Druid team, and that's what they played. That's the composition that Looney won BlizzCon with years ago at this point, and then they expanded into the melee cleaves, bringing Zepai onto Death Knights and Blizzo onto Windwalker. So they had the cleave setups, and now bringing Morrow Morrow in, they have access to the mage composition. So they basically have the 3 archetypes of compositions in Arena available on their roster, and they're playing all 3 at the highest level, which is why they just dominate basically everybody else.
Yeah, I think when you bring up those archetypes, that is the most important thing when you look at a team right now. I actually think that you kind of hit it on the head there. It's about having something that fits each archetype. If you can do that, you're a team that has enough flexibility, can be dynamic, can win in counter-comping situations. Even look at a team like the Pumpers. The meta's in their favor. In so many different ways, the meta's in their favor. And if they don't have the blind pick, they lose more times than not. And what's the reason for that? Because they have one archetype super down pat, and they're able to, even with that archetype, navigate when they can kind of pick and say, okay, this is the right way that we can play it here. This is the right way that we can play it here. They're one of the best teams in the world. We didn't even see them make it to broadcast quite a few times. This is going to be one of those weeks when it matters the most. They were in 4th place. Now they're not going to be. We've seen them win tournaments in the past. It is so important to have multiple archetypes there, and that's why when we get to NA, it's going to be important as well. Are we going to see teams like Method Orange be able to use Sam-I-Am? They haven't been able to do that yet. He's a player that opens up multiple archetypes. Morrow has done that for Wildcard Gaming. They are on a whole different planet, and it is a beautiful planet that has all of the necessities to creating life. We should colonize it one day, because Wildcard's planet is the best planet in the entire world right now. Plot twist. What planet are they living on? Is it a planet of victory, or is it a planet of defeat? Is it as barren as Mars? Are we going to see them secure this bread? WCG, 83%. You guys think Wildcard Gaming's going to be able to do what they've done so far consistently throughout this season? And that's been getting a lot of bread. They've been finagling the bagel without too much of a problem. Let's see if they can continue this fantastic track record that they've had in the recent weeks.
Yeah, and plot twist, they opted to go to Dalaran Sewers. I like what Wildcard Gaming did. They were locked in the Windwalker Death Knight, and this is one of the best maps in the game for that Windwalker Death Knight. So I feel like even though they're going against this difficult composition of the Windwalker Mage, that Plot Twist is bringing on this smaller map, they're definitely going to have a relatively even matchup, I'd say.
Yeah, Wildcard Gaming are strategists as well. They've got all 3 styles under their belt, and they know when to pull them out. Plot Twist picked a small map, which would benefit a melee cleave archetype, and Wildcard Gaming say, okay, you're going to give us Dalaran Sewers. Our cleave is better than yours. We're going to be locking that in right away blind. We can deal with your mage composition on this close-quartered battlefield, and I like the confidence coming from Wildcard Gaming here in game number 2.
Yeah, yes, they're pulling the trigger on that Icy Veins almost immediately, looking for crowd control on Looney. Unfortunately, not able to find it, or it might have broken. So yes, they're really not getting too much done with that major offensive cooldown. Now into a leg sweep, Trinket's out of line of sight. Numless keeping him alive with the Soothing Mist for now, but getting that Gladiator's Medallion out of the way. The next time, yes, Dave gets caught into a full stun. That's a huge window of opportunity for Wildcard Gaming. Ooh. Some burst rolling.
Beautiful Ring of Peace, knocking 2 members down. Numless tries to reposition and gets clotheslined by crowd control. No follow-up just yet, but Touch of Death is ticking. Blizzo's looking to get an ice block early on. Numless denies with that life cocoon. Still could crush through it. They managed to break the shield at least. Rezu's trying to force Blizzo back. They've forced a lot of defensive cooldowns from Blizzo early on. He may need to be careful moving forward. If he's caught overextended, he could go down. Looney in a position to heal him, trying to deal with a counterspell. Able to land it, well timed by Yes Dave. An opportunity for the team of Plot Twist to try and get some burst out, but there's just no damage. Now Numless locked in crowd control off the back of Zeepai's Dark Simulacrum, potentially setting up a chain to force an ice block. No more crowd control available, just damage. Yes Dave still low on health. Mind Freeze secured by Zeepai. This is likely to be the first ice block. Double leg sweep stalls it out just long enough for Yes Dave to escape. Close call, but Plot Twist hold on to that vital defensive cooldown.
Yep, Zeepai getting low. Big pressure here for Plot Twist. Nicely done. Anti-magic shield should be able to trade out and keep him alive. Yes Dave still just kiting out a line of sight. You can see Yes Dave, he's constantly trying to drag Zeepai and Blizzo out of line of sight of Looney, making it difficult for him to actually land the heals. Looney in a good position now, pops that Thunder Focus Tea, gets some significant healing off onto his team. And at this point in the game, I saw Rezus, he actually has dropped his Transcendence on top of Blizzo. So if Blizzo ends up portaling away, then you can see Rezus chase him down quite easily. They can go toe-to-toe with that defensive cooldown, and Rezus can use it offensively to keep up the pressure on the Blizzo.
We saw another counter spell on Looney. That netted the team of Plot Twist Blizzo's Touch of Karma, an important ability for Blizzo to stay alive in the fight. Yes Dave Yesdave is the one who has to carry the game, but on this map, it's so difficult to do so. Bouncing both between trying to avoid damage and getting crowd control on the enemy healer is a difficult task. Currently just trying to avoid damage at the moment, but 2 members are low. Rezus could get swapped to with no Gladiator's Medallion. Numlis needs to be ready for that, managing to stabilize at this point, but at the expense of quite a lot of mana. Blizzo finally getting pressured down. Very curious to see. It does appear that Looney was able to fake cast the counterspell. Now activating that Way of the Crane. Looney leading the charge for his team to take down Yesdave in game number 2. Gets stalled out a bit longer, but that Touch of Death is about to go off. Life Cocoon soaks the hit. Yesdave desperately trying to escape. Looney still on his tail. Blizzo unable to connect. Rezus keeping him away for now. Forced to use Fist of Fury onto him to just try and stall it out. Yesdave manages to recover. Now Numlis with Way of the Crane. Just trying to get something going for his team, but now caught into a leg sweep. Looks like they may even swap to him. Blizzo just chopping up Numlis a little bit. Numlis repositioning, not going to be staying overextended for too long. Mana still in favor of Wildcard Gaming. Yesdave still with 2 ice blocks. It's still too close to call.
Yeah, Rezus opting to use that Ride the Wind talent. Yesdave really hasn't been able to get much value out of it just yet. Really want to see him use that in conjunction with Rezus, buy him a little bit of time to kite away from these pesky melee of Blizzo and Zeepai. A very powerful tool. When he uses his Flying Serpent Kick, he drops a little cloud on the ground, and that basically suppresses movement impairing effects and allows Yesdave to escape. Now caught into a stun, getting bursted down. Liz has the Life Cocoon as backup if he really needs it. Ring of Peace being dropped out. Rezus and Rezus and Yesdave caught into a leg sweep. Decent pressure here. Good backup from Looney. It looks like for now, Wildcard Gaming is going to completely stabilize. If we look at mana, I'm not sure if Looney was able to sneak away for a drink, but he does have a significant mana lead over Numlis.
I think Zeepai steals a polymorph. Numlis, though, is drinking to full mana. No, now caught into a polymorph. Unfortunately, on diminishing return, Zeepai just using it to deny the drink, but it may have been more worthwhile to wait for that diminishing return. Double leg sweep secured by Blizzo. Well timed. That's leading the charge for Zeepai to try and burst down Yesdave. Kill gets denied once again by Life Cocoon. They could switch to Rezus and try and pull more defense. We see Numlis roll in, landing a triple stun on the Way of the Crane. Good timing on Numlis' part, but now with no crowd control off of it, Looney's going to have free reign with this Way of the Crane, really doing a ton of damage. But Yesdave with a perfectly timed Temporal Shield bounces himself back into the fight. Great recovery on both sides, and even though Wildcard Gaming are one of the most dominant teams in the region, plot twists are really bringing it to them.
Yeah, Blizzo porting away as Looney's caught into a polymorph. Rezus chasing him down. Blizzo doing an excellent job kiting, using his Transcendence to get away. As soon as Rezus gets there, he gets back on top of Yesdave, but Blizzo could still be in some trouble. No defensive cooldowns really left. Looney has to start connecting some heals. Thunder Focus Tea will allow him to get the cast off that he needs, and Blizzo will bounce back full hit points. Zeepai still having that anti-magic zone. They can always rely on that if they really need to, but we have to make sure Blizzo is always having his Transcendence portal in an ideal position, so if Looney gets caught into crowd control chains, he can escape and keep himself alive.
Blizzo survives for now. Double leg sweep secured onto Numlis and Yesdave. Well placed. Looney looks like he's trying to sit down for a drink. They should be able to deny that more than easily in this position. Blizzo gets Ring of Peace away, as it looked like he wanted to actually go after Numlis. Numlis now gets crowd controlled by Looney. Rezus gets caught into a stun and bursted. 1 second away, Touch of Karma available. Makes the exchange to stay in the fight, but now a counterspell secured. Once again, Yesdave putting the team on his back, trying to end the match. These counterspells are pivotal to his team's victory, and he's landed 3 at critical moments, almost netting a kill there. Very close call for Blizzo.
Yeah, Blizzo will survive, but a double leg sweep. Blizzo not out of it yet. Forced to trade out the Touch of Karma. Way of the Crane gets used by Looney. What's he going to get done? Do they have the damage? They need to start getting some ice blocks from Yesdave or change up their targeting. It looks like they're going to be going after Rezus, but I think Numlis should be able to easily keep him alive, and if you don't attack Yesdave, that's allowing him to get up much more polymorphs, much more crowd control, as well as more damage by spamming out those frost bolts. So Rezus might be a more vulnerable target at this particular point in the game, but it's very dangerous just to leave that Frost Mage alone.
Yeah, Numlis in crowd control first. Wildcard Gaming looking to take down Rezus. How's he going to deal with it? The pressure's on. He's trying to kite and avoid both Blizzo and Zeepai at the same time, managing to recover, but now caught in a leg sweep by Looney. Still in a bit of trouble. Gets stunned on the Fist of Fury by Zeepai. Well timed. Burst to follow it up. Ring of Peace protects Rezus for a few seconds. Looney now caught into a polymorph. Blizzo in trouble. Once again, Yesdave with the hard carry crowd control. Potentially carrying the team to victory. And they get the kill 1 second away from Looney's Life Cocoon. Plot twist tie this series up.
That does not happen very often. We have not seen Wildcard Gaming face a situation where they lose even one game in a series in quite some time. Zico, why is Plot Twist able to grab this one?
Well, their Windwalker DK is, it looks beatable all of a sudden. We got the polymorph there at the end of the match to really secure it, and yes, Dave, of course, also had really nice kiting. The way that Wildcard Gaming wanted to kind of use the map was they wanted to lock in a melee cleave on the blind and then go after Yes Dave, but with his kiting, he just wasn't making it a reality, so they started chasing after Rezus, who at this point also had been doing a great job landing damage, and at this point, we're going to see Yes Dave go for that final polymorph. Blizzo as well, taking quite a decent amount of damage from that Ray of Frost, and there is the Maledict as well getting dispelled. Yes Dave, there he goes, sneaks in the polymorph, and Blizzo on the back foot here, doesn't have his Touch of Karma, doesn't have his trinket. Beautiful leg sweep by Numliz, really setting up that situation as well, and that Frozen Orb looked a little bit of a miss right there.
He almost threw it away. So sometimes as a Frost Mage, you have a PvP talent called Concentrated Coolness, which allows you to just place your Frozen Orb on the ground, and sometimes as a Frost Mage, you're so used to having that if you're not spec'd into it, you can make the mistake, and I think that's what happened there, and it could have potentially cost them that kill. Looney was just one little inch away from getting that life cocoon, which would have definitely kept Blizzo alive.
Yeah, what do we call it when you whiff on an orb?
Zarya Orb.
Yeah, Zarya Orb. You don't want to see any of those, not in this tournament, especially now when it is tied up. Plot Twist, they've taken down some tough teams. Are they going to be able to take down Wildcard Gaming? Plot Twist has managed to tie up this series against Wildcard Gaming, and I do want to take a second here to talk about some of the changes that we actually have seen, because when you look at Plot Twist, don't you think that this is a team that maybe could have been affected not in the best way by some of the changes that we did see, Zico?
Yeah, I mean, they have 2 Warlocks on their team. They're really the team that has been bringing out the double Warlock composition a lot, but the reason why they don't against Wildcard Gaming. I was going to say XRB there. It's so many team swaps. Name swaps, sorry.
But Plot Twist has 300% less armor right now than they did. That's right? 275?
Well, it's bonus armor, so not quite, but it's fine. I'll let you have that one.
Man, math is tough, man.
But the reason why Plot Twist is bringing out the Windwalker Mage, of course, is because Wildcard Gaming has been running the Windwalker DK, and they were anticipating that, and now we're going to see this matchup again, and honestly, they are unfavored in this matchup, but it's not a terrible matchup on hook point. We could definitely see Looney go down. Definitely going to be easier for Plot Twist to secure a kill on Looney, but at the same time, Wildcard Gaming going to have an easier time as well, landing crowd control onto Numliz. Hook point is a very nice map to land crowd control on as a mage, and at the back of that pressure, we can see Looney go in for some of those cyclones as well that really did put them ahead in game number 1.
So we look at Plot Twist here. I mean, Wildcard Gaming, they're chilling. Let's be honest, they're chilling. They're going to go to land. They're probably pretty confident that they can destroy the whole thing. If Plot Twist is able to take this series, though, and stay on the top side of the bracket, Sid, how important for them is that to even make it to land in the first place?
I believe it gets them into a 4th place position if they lose everything after that point, so they still need to get into 3rd, but being able to beat Wildcard Gaming is an impressive feat in itself, and making it look likely that they could at least secure 3rd place, which then puts the pressure onto ABC in the lower bracket later today. They have to beat Change My Mind.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you do have to look at here. If we see ABC get knocked out, and I mean, there's some potential too that Plot Twist could even be the team to knock them out. It's complicated whether or not we're going to be able to tread those waters of a tiebreaker. But if we see Plot Twist stay on the top side of the bracket, if they can keep getting these upsets, if they can live up to their name, they could just secure it for themselves. Fate is going to be in their own hands. If they ran away with this tournament and won it, yes, they would indeed be able to secure that 4th spot. Let's talk about this matchup one more time, though, as we go to hook point. Zico started to illuminate some of the factors that may be thrown our way. A very small map. How is that going to affect this matchup, Fen?
Well, when you look at Wildcard Gaming, you have Looney playing the Restoration Druid, likely going to be playing that Balance Affinity once again. So not the easiest target to get crowd control on. He's going to be immune to polymorph effects while in that Moonkin form, but that means he is going to be a great target to make swaps onto. So instead of going for crowd control on Looney, what I really want to see a plot twist get done is try to find a paralysis on him when he gets out of that Moonkin form, and then look for big setups with the leg sweep consistently, and eventually they can take down Looney. For Wildcard Gaming, it's all about control. Morrow, Looney, they need to find Cyclones, Polymorphs, onto Numliz to make sure they have enough crowd control to eventually take YesDave down.
It's already outstanding that we have seen Plot Twist able to take a game away from Wildcard Gaming, but will they be able to be excellent here again on Hook Point?
All right, Plot Twist managing to put a point on the board, which that in itself is a feat of strength against Wildcard Gaming. Looney gets caught. Ring of Peace to protect. Ring of Peace knocks Looney back into Rezus' clutches, but YesDave can't support him. He's peeled away by Morrow. Great support by Morrow on that initial attack. They go for the second leg sweep before the diminishing return. Surprise attack to try and catch Looney off guard. Is it going to be enough to push him over? Looney desperately trying to escape. YesDave now being counter pressured. Huge damage. Numliz denies, but still in crowd control. That life cocoon gets shredded. YesDave in trouble if they can get another polymorph. They do, but they opt to Cyclone YesDave at low health. Looney then trying to capitalize and crowd control Numliz. Ducking over for a bash into a Cyclone. This could easily be an ice block if Blizzo can connect. He rolls over. YesDave gets counterspelled on the peel, but Numliz is out of crowd control. He's leading the charge with the way of the crane, and it does appear to be the case that Plot Twist are going to go all in on Looney. However, in this match, I believe he has switched to the Guardian affinity, removing that as an option, expecting that strategy due to the map selection on Hook Point. Looney adapts his talent build and denies that strategy and potentially opens up his team to find success here.
Yeah, definitely YesDave in a little bit of trouble with a full Cyclone onto Numliz. Numliz actually opting to play the Relentless talent, so all crowd control will be diminished, but can't actually break out of any of it. YesDave gets interrupted, forced into an ice block. He's going to have one available in around 25 seconds. Once Hypothermia debuff does fade off of the Frost Mage, Numliz with Life Cocoon has a little bit of backup here for Plot Twist to keep YesDave alive, but Wildcard Gaming so far, they seem to be in the driver's seat.
They catch Looney out of form, but they're going after Morrow. Plot Twist are trying to mix it up. They've now realized that Looney is not going to be an option due to that specialization change on his part. Instead, now having to go for a mage race. Fortunately, they're only one ice block behind, but they should have made this adaptation much sooner if they're going to find victory here against Wildcard Gaming, as they are behind. YesDave once again exchanging that temporal shield right when his healer gets crowd controlled. Unfortunately, not healing him for too much. YesDave gets bursted. Blizzo stays on target. Numliz and Rezus both locked out of the fight. Able to sneak in a life. You can get cycloned on it, and Looney's been able to really shine in this match, particularly with his cyclone usage, showing that he is not only one of the best defensive healers in the game, but also fully capable of offense and crowd control as well, and that's going to prove to be deadly moving into the spring finals, most certainly.
Yeah, Morrow getting bursted down just a little bit, and just to talk about Cyclone a little bit, that's one of the changes that came in a couple of weeks ago. The Cyclone's mana cost was reduced, so we're seeing a lot of these Restoration Druids play more aggressive. In the past, it wasn't that great to use Cyclone just because it cost too much mana, and it was such a precious resource. YesDave getting low, forced into the second ice block just a millisecond before the temporal shield was able to completely top him off. Not ideal for Plot Twist, but I think that was the right call from YesDave. Doesn't want to be playing out too greedy, but like I was saying, with the mana changes, Cyclone seems to be something that the Restoration Druids are prioritizing a lot more, especially in a setup like this with the Frost Mage.
Huge setup on Morrow, but not even netting an ice block. Now Morrow has a significant lead over Plot Twist here as Wildcard Gaming look to advance to match point. Looney initiates the crowd control, continues the chain. Both Rezus and Numliz cannot support YesDave. It's a 3-on-1. Touch of Death has just gone off. YesDave takes a huge hit. Numliz still crowd controlled, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to try and take YesDave out. YesDave survives. Numliz avoids the interrupts and stabilizes, but mana is even. No advantage there. Now ice blocks are in favor of Wildcard Gaming. Looney looks to try and secure a mana lead by sitting down for a drink, but he could have to trade an ice block if he does it, so he's not going to risk that exchange, prioritizing defense over mana. Numliz unable to find that opportunity on Hook Point. It's going to be so difficult for the healers to find a drink whatsoever. YesDave caught in a stun behind the pillar. Blizzo trying to set up the team for victory. Morrow blinks in. He's intercepted between Numliz and YesDave. Numliz able to just play it patiently at the pillar for YesDave to blink around. Gets the Life Cocoon and stabilizes. The Life Cocoon is now out of the way. Any crowd control onto Numliz, and YesDave could go down.
Yeah, easily. Whereas for Wildcard Gaming, they still have every defensive cooldown rolling. YesDave gets interrupted. You can see everyone is all over YesDave right now. He's doing a good job peeling. Rezus trying to create pressure on Morrow. Blizzo getting him low. YesDave could just fall, and ultimately does. Wildcard Gaming will go up in the series 2-1, but Now Plot Twist, they have the map and compositional pick for them.
So when we do discuss how the rest of the series is going to look, now that it is kind of sprawled out before us, do you think that's what's going to happen? Do you think it's going to be a back and forth based off of map size? Are we sticking with these compositions all the way through?
Honestly, it's hard to call what Wildcard Gaming is going to do. I think a lot of it comes down to maps. If we see a small map selected, we might see Wildcard Gaming go in for one of their Windwalker DK melee cleaves. If we see a large map selected, though, I'm not opposed to seeing the LA Mage locked in for Wildcard Gaming and see Zeepai tagged in. So I'm not really sure. In this matchup in particular, though, I did feel like it was pretty close. Looney almost did go down there at the start of the match. Yes, Dave, unfortunately, wasn't able to connect there onto Looney. Had he been able to connect, though, when that all-in strategy happened from Plot Twist, I really think that Looney might have been punished for greeting his cooldowns that hard. And it's closer than it looks, honestly. And at the same time, also, I think they invested way too much time chasing Looney. What you want to do is you want to force him off the Moonkin Affinity. If you force him off the Moonkin Affinity, you can shut down a lot of that crowd control, because you can polymorph up Maro, and while Maro is in polymorph, you can just spam polymorph on Looney. And when Numbliz gets bashed, Maro wants to get the polymorph, and Looney wants to press clone at the same time. And you can't do that as a druid because that polymorph might be getting swapped over to you. So you can basically shut down 2 targets like that. Now, when the Moonkin Affinity is in play, you can't do that because the druid just presses Moonkin form and then clones anyway. So, and then he dispels right after he lands the clone. So Moonkin Affinity is a really big thing in terms of stopping Wildcard Gaming from getting that polymorph cyclone long CC chain that nets them these ice blocks. But it's also something that you want to get him off of it because you want him to be scared that he might get swapped to as well. So as soon as you force him off the Moonkin Affinity, just ignore the druid.
Okay. Very important things to think about as we do progress through this series. Sid, you already heard it from Zico. It's a tough one to call, but what do you expect to see as we hop into this next map?
Well, the Windwalker, Frost Mage, Mistweaver, and/or Restoration Druid appears to be a good matchup into the melee cleave setup. So this may be a composition that Wildcard Gaming, if they win, uses against Method Black if they need to, although their cleave is still kind of king, but Method Black could even maybe run the Windwalker Mage if Waz has been practicing and polishing up his Windwalker. And this composition has kind of come out now due to adaptations of strategy because of the compositions that were currently strong, and is shifting the meta a bit, because I wasn't expecting to see these. I thought it would be the Destruction Warlocks and the Windwalker Death Knights, these kinds of compositions, but this now has thrown a twist into the things with the Mage Windwalker, and I'm curious to see how it plays out. Blade's Edge Arena selected here for Plot Twist as they try to scramble together for a Game 5, but ultimately will have the map and the composition disadvantage should they make it that far. They have to overcome a lot of hurdles.
Definitely do. As you said, hit him with the twist. As we look, though, I want to ask, did you just count out Plot Twist? Are you already assuming that Wildcard's going to be just jumping on forward in this series to play against Method Black?
I think so, at least in the Game 5 for sure. Wildcard Gaming, if they blind lock in the Windwalker Mage Restoration Druid, then Plot Twist could maybe play the Destruction Warlock, but they still just have the liability of Numbliz on Mistweaver, which even though the Destruction Warlock is normally able to shut down any Mage composition, the Mistweaver is just so much more exposed, and Blade's Edge Arena could also benefit the Destruction Warlock, but it also benefits crowd control, so I still think Wildcard Gaming could overcome that if they just want to lock in the Druid Windwalker Mage again.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to that because I was like, yeah, so what do you think we're going to see in the next map? And you're like, well, when Wildcard Gaming plays Method Black, I was like, oh, sheesh. Already not looking at Plot Twist, when we know that this is a team that could make it to land. Their next matchup going to be very important, and if they can do it here, they have a real shot. I think having that advantage on being on the top side of the bracket, we cannot understate how important that is. We can't overstate how important it is. I don't know which word makes more sense here, as we're going to see Zeepai going to be coming in. How do you feel about this?
Well, I think on this particular map, it would have been devastating for them to lock in the Windwalker Death Knight, Plot Twist with the Mage, Windwalker, Mistweaver composition, especially on Blade's Edge Arena. With 2 ring apiece, you can deny those melee cleaves quite a bit, knocking them off the bridge, forcing them to run all the way around, and that's not an easy thing to do when you're caught into those Frost Mage snares. So I think Wildcard Gaming, they did a good job realizing the situation, now locking in something a little bit different, and I think on this particular map, it is a nice setup, and now Plot Twist really has to think, what are they going to run?
Is this where a Wildcard Gaming ends it? Are they going to be able to take this one 3-1? Their record has been insane their last 30 maps, dropping about 2 games in all of those series. Sid already started to bring up the fact before we even saw this composition locked in that he had full faith in Wildcard Gaming. But Zika, does it end here on Blade's Edge?
I think we're going to Game 5. I think we're going to see Windwalker lock Mistweaver, potentially brought in from Plot Twist, and I think that they might be able to take down Morrow. But then in game number 5, I have to agree with Sid. I think Wildcard Gaming are going to have a really good time.
Have a really good time. I was like, oh, wow, okay. When we do look, though, over at Wildcard Gaming, I think we're pretty confident that they should be able to take it. But, okay, are you changing your mind?
Well, I mean, I just want to see Double Destro because I think it actually would be pretty cool on Blade's Edge Arena against this comp. Maybe the Windwalker is just...
I'd like that.
It's just safer to go with the Windwalker, but I actually think you just do Double Destro on Blade's Edge with this matchup that they got.
I'd like to see it.
It seems fine, right? I mean, if you think about Warlock and how it did get affected in this matchup, it's pretty much going to feel exactly the same.
Safe pick.
Yeah, they're going to bring at least one of the Warlocks, which I definitely think does make sense. We talked about some of the strengths on Blade's Edge and what you're going to be able to do there. Do you think that Plot Twist is going to be able to take this series, Ben? We heard from the rest of the desk that they're not necessarily as confident in this team, which makes a lot of sense. Wildcard Gaming, even though they're number 2 as far as points are concerned, I think they're probably our top team in Europe right now. They're on an absolute tear. Do you think Plot Twist can do it?
Well, I definitely think the deck is stacked against Plot Twist in this particular series. Like you kind of talked about Wildcard Gaming, they're the team to beat right now. Up 2-1. If it does go to Game 5, they have the map as well as the compositional advantage. But I can't count Plot Twist just out yet because for them, there's so much on the line. I mean, if they can win this map, which I definitely think they can, in Game 5, although the Mage, Mistweaver, Windwalker matchup doesn't seem the best in the Restoration Druid variant, I still feel like there's opportunities for them to win that matchup, and I can't completely count them out, but I think it's more than likely Wildcard Gaming does walk away with the series.
But you still think that there's a chance for a Plot Twist in this series?
I do.
All right, Zico, what needs to happen for that Plot Twist? I thought that one was really, I was ready for that one. That was too much build-up. All right, when we do look at Plot Twist, what do they have to do? Let's say that they win this one. What do you want to see in game number 5 when Wildcard Gaming going to have every advantage because of the momentum that they've already built up in this series?
I want to see the Mage Windwalker versus the Windwalker Mage Druid matchup again. I think it's their best bet. It's a losing matchup, but it's the least losing matchup. Obviously, Wildcard Gaming are going to have that, dealer's advantage or the house advantage, if you will. So Plot Twist are going to have to play at bad odds, but I think that if they adapt their strategies a little bit, the plot could be thickening here, and Wildcard Gaming could go down to face our friends ABC and do a little bit of a cleanup duty down there in the lower bracket.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we need to note, though, is if you're going up against Wildcard Gaming right now, and this is what we were talking about a little bit earlier, where we look at these top teams and how many options they have. If you're going against Wildcard Gaming in a Game 5, you are picking a losing composition no matter what. Like, that is just the nature of it. You have to pick the composition that loses the least and try to navigate a winning situation out of it. We've seen teams do tough scenarios like that and make it work. Usually the teams that can do that, though, are teams like Wildcard Gaming. Will Plot Twist be able to extend it to a Game 5 and then create the upset they are facing, dropping down to the lower side of the bracket right here, right now, Blade's Edge Arena?
Still don't think that you can actually count Wildcard Gaming out on this composition. Nope. It's still very effective against a Mistweaver bringing in a Mage, and in the open field it will be difficult for Rezus to kite. And Looney, once again, running that Feral affinity, will be adding a bit of extra damage to his team. Crowd control already secured onto Numliz, and Infernion looks to deflect, dropping the Infernals. This is more of a precautionary Infernals to try and scare away his opponents. Wildcard Gaming are disrespecting that at the moment, but Z-Pipe punts Infernion off the side. He's not able to capitalize. He hasn't been able to ramp. He's got a Rain of Fire rolling to try and stack back up the Supremacy, but he's running out of time to get a big Chaos Bolt off. Grounding Totem not available. Infernion knows he needs to get a Chaos Bolt off soon if he wants to benefit from that bonus damage. Goes for the Dark Soul, baits an interrupt on the Fear. They don't fall for the bait. Now gets polymorphed on the Chaos Bolt. They need to stop Infernion's Chaos Bolt for a few more seconds. Curious to see if he's able to go for it. Baits the interrupt on the Wind Shear with the Fear. Still not able to get a Chaos Bolt. Totally denied on his Infernals.
Yeah, Numla's down to a polymorph. Infernion vulnerable. Not much mobility on that Destruction Warlock. If Maro and Zeepai can find the damage, they might be able to take him down. Unending Resolve trades out for Infernion. That major defensive cooldown. 3-minute timer on that. Won't have it available for quite some time, but opts to trade that out instead of Numla's Trinket. And now, actually, Plot Twist is not in the best situation. They do have some damage here onto Maro, but if Maro, Zeepai, and Looney can continue the crowd control on Numla's, I think they can definitely win this matchup. Yeah, I mean, Rezus and Infernion have already used their hardest hitting cooldowns, which means the team at Wildcard Gaming can walk all over Numliz. They do not need to respect that space whatsoever. They can move in and secure extended crowd control chains. Maro trying to follow up, gets stunned. Good denial by Rezus. Numliz needs to be ready. There's still a Wind Shear now available for one of his heals. He's going to be able to avoid it, stacking up with Infernion, trying to make it so that if they do attempt to go for crowd control, they can deny some area of effect damage. Maybe a Comet Storm potentially breaks a polymorph, but now they get punted off the side by Zeepai, and bringing in the Elemental Shaman on the Blade's Edge Arena pick was definitely a smart decision from Wildcard Gaming. They look to close here. Infernion, with not much left at half health, manages to deny the kill with a double Mortal Coil. Looney still running that Feral Affinity, adding in a bit of extra damage to the team. No crowd control found. Looney in a Fear Tremor Totem breaks that. Looney looking for a Cyclone, gets denied by Numliz. Numliz needs to avoid this Cyclone as long as possible. Looney gets feared away again. Numliz actually deciding to roll in, gets Frost Nova on it. He wanted to find a leg sweep, but Maro was able to time that. Ursul's Vortex then pulls Numliz a little bit further away. Way of the Crane. Maro is able to avoid it thanks to Looney's Cyclone. Infernion now in a 3-on-2. Zeepai right on top of him. Full polymorph. They have to make a decision quick. Numliz decides to trade the Gladiator's Medallion and Life Cocoon to survive here, but that is a critical defensive cooldown that he will not have for another 2 minutes. Yeah, Looney's been doing such a good job with the Cyclones in this matchup. Really, and that's one of the benefits Wildcard Gaming has. You have Zeepai casting, Maro casting, and Looney casting. It makes it difficult for Infernion to shut down all 3 members, and Looney is really capitalizing on that. You can see Cyclones on Infernion, now a Cyclone on Numliz. Infernion getting low, Safeguard procs, that might be enough to keep him alive, but Numliz really doesn't have too much healing to keep him up. Infernion holds on by a thread, but triple stun comes in. Revival in the nick of time. Can Numliz keep him alive? Finally connecting some heals, but another Cyclone connecting from Looney extends the crowd control chain. Looks for another. If they can get on top of Numliz, Maro and Looney are right there. Numliz manages to transcend its way out of line of sight. Infernion drops the Infernals, but he misses. Now he's all alone, but he's trying to counter pressure. Gets a Fear. Zeepai breaks the Fear. Numliz gets counterspell, but he activated Life Cocoon before tanking that interrupt. Smart decision by Numliz, removing the counterspell, safely able to avoid it. But Infernion's been out in the open for far too long. He's trying to find a Chaos Bolt. He's ramped up perfectly, but he just can't attack. Numliz is locked out of the fight for too long. He drops the double Mortal Coil, tries to set up Rezus to maybe kill Looney. Rezus is desperate at this point if he's trying to go after Looney. Manages to ring a piece Infernion, or into back in line of sight of Infernion. Rezus gets lightning lassoed by Zeepai, denies the kill on Looney during that leg sweep. Looney then jumps to safety. Looks like we're going to be battling out below the bridge potentially to end this one. Rezus with no Gladiator's Medallion is exposed to a lightning lasso attempt and will need to be aware of that, but still pressure on Infernion. Yeah, Infernion caught in midfield, really nowhere to run and hide and avoid damage. If Zeepai and Maro can keep teeing off on Infernion, he could ultimately fall. If we look at mana, things relatively even for both of these healers. None of them have really had to sneak away and drink just yet. Looney moving forward, looking for more crowd control. Full polymorph secured onto Numliz. Unfortunately breaks. Now Looney kill attempt onto Looney. Is there going to be any damage coming in from Infernion? Huge! Mortal Coil. Looney getting lower. What is he going to do? Barkskin Safeguard does proc as well. He has the Iron Bark, but being able to kite away. Touch of Death is used by Rezus. They're all over him. Take him down. Everything being traded out by Plot Twist, but Looney kiting away from Infernion. Not going to be taking any of that Destruction Warlock damage. He might be able to survive. His defense is starting to fall if he can't escape.
Zipai gets interrupted on his peel. Maro tries to support. Numless is not able to connect. Rezus is trying to solo Looney. He's trying to escape. Lightning Lasso buys the time. Looney stays in the fight. Now Rezus gets caught, overextended. Barely exchanges Touch of Karma to stay alive. They could crack through that defense. Looks like they're going to play it patiently. Try and crowd control Numless instead, but gets interrupted on it. Rezus really punishing Looney. They've got 16 seconds to try and take him out, but I don't think they're going to be able to stay on top of him. Infernion peeled away. Rezus with limited defense. Numless realizing that activates Life Cocoon just in the nick of time for Rezus to survive. Plot twist, switch targets to Zipai. They're heavily behind on mana. They're heavily behind on cooldowns. Wildcard Gaming are looking solid to take this, but you cannot count Plot Twist out.
Definitely not. Rezus getting lower, caught in a Lightning Lasso, trinketing out of that. Now no defense left for Plot Twist. Rezus has to start getting some heals. Finally, some big heals connecting from Numless, but I really want to see Wildcard Gaming go after Infernion again. They need to either get control on him or get more damage rolling, because right now Infernion on that Destruction Warlock, he's been denied so far in the game, but if they leave him alone, he's going to be able to bring down havoc on the team of Wildcard Gaming, really set Plot Twist up for victory.
Numless in crowd control, Infernion getting bursted. Maro looks for follow-up, gets denied. Numless out of crowd control, desperately trying to stabilize Infernion. Now Cycloned at low health. Looney's Cyclones have been immaculate in this entire series throughout, denying a recovery moment for Plot Twist. Zipai gets bursted. Infernals have landed. Infernion ramps, gets the Cataclysm. Huge ramp for Infernion. He needs to get a Chaos Bolt, but Grounding Totem is available. Let's see if Zipai can time that to deny Infernion's Chaos Bolt. Mortal Coil Chaos Bolt gets counterspelled. Good denial by Maro. They need to slow down these Chaos Bolts for a few more seconds. Infernion pulls back, trying to get back in the line of sight. Zipai knows they just need to avoid the situation. Looney is sitting down for a drink during Infernal. It's a bit of a bad manner situation for Wildcard Gaming. You don't typically get to just regenerate full mana while the enemy team activates their hardest hitting spells. Infernion tries to pull something out of it, but Maro already a Temporal Shield rolling, and the defense of Wildcard Gaming looks unbreakable.
Definitely, and Looney with full mana, things are definitely in favor of Wildcard Gaming. This is Plot Twist map and compositional pick, but Wildcard Gaming definitely showing that they are the #1 team right now in the European scene. Maro getting feared away. Chaos Bolt finally landing from Infernion, looking for some damage. Numless potentially needs to sneak away for a drink, almost completely out of mana at this point in the game. How much longer can Plot Twist stay alive? Sid, who do you think is their opening in this matchup?
I mean, at this point, it's do or die, I think, on Looney. Who else are you going to kill? There's Glaire's Medallion, Astral Shift, 2 Ice Blocks. It's basically every defensive cooldown for Wildcard Gaming. They don't have time to get through that. They just need an all-in swing, hope that Wildcard Gaming underreact and they can burst somebody down. They're on the ropes here. They're on match point and likely to get knocked down to the lower bracket. Plot Twist need at least a 3rd place finish if they want to qualify for that 4th spot, but Wildcard Gaming are looking like they're going to swipe it away. Huge damage. Cyclone at low health denies the way of the crane hit. They need to deny it a bit longer. They Cyclone him again on it. Perfect timing. Polymorph follow-up. Wildcard Gaming are unstoppable.
Oh man, that was a brutal victory for Wildcard Gaming. They're going to be able to close that one out. Imagine being a Warlock and you're sitting there and you go, I got damage. I got all the damage in the world. I'm gonna pump right now. And then you see Looney go, yeah, just eat the Chaos Bolts. I'm gonna sit down for a drink. Just not scared at all of just complete disrespect for what the Warlock's able to do. But Infernion, he's not able to get out any pressure. And we're going to see Wildcard Gaming just prove that they're cut above just about every single team. Plot Twist pulling off a feat, even taking one game off of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that most teams aren't even able to do at this point, but this game, they had a nice opportunity on Looney at one point, but other than that, it was really just Wildcard Gaming just doing whatever they wanted, pretty much. Looney gets for sure the MVP in this game. He had such nice clones. I mean, here he cloned Numless again, cloned Infernion on his Unending Resolve, cloned him again on his Unending Resolve, allows Maro to sneak in that Polymorph, allows them to secure the win. And he was playing Feral Affinity, adding in a bit of damage. He was going for drinks at the perfect times. Like, he played this game, 15 out of 10. Really, really strong performance from Looney, and it's not easy to do, especially on a small map, especially in a matchup where you're targeted. So he's very versatile, and that's one thing I've always been saying about this guy. It's not that he doesn't know how to play offensive. It's just that he chooses to play defensive, and he picks his moments when to play that offensive playstyle. More often than not, he likes to go for the long game because he thinks it's a better strategy. But I mean, having played with the guy as well, he for sure knows how to go for those long CC chains and how to get those offensive cyclones. So really nice showing there from him.